One of the things, people in North Bedfordshire, if they work in London, and we've talked a bit about sort of, London having been a big pull historically, but for work, if you live in North Bedfordshire, you're spending, from your door to get to the station, to get to London, to get on the tube, to get to your office, and then repeat on the way back, 3 hours, maybe more of your day just traveling. So the idea of hybrid working where you don't go in 5 days a week is attractive to many. And people want to have office-ish type locations nearby that they can pop into, sort of hot desking options. Because sometimes people just don't have great facilities at home. Maybe they're in a house share and they're having to sit in their home doing their Zoom call. They don't have the space. Others are more fortunate. Is the meetings industry looking at that as a sort of way that they can offer those types of services?
Yeah, so we started looking at this 2 years ago. This is a blend when you take your traditional meetings business and you take your hotel bar where, we've got the sort of laptop brigade. You'll see him there on the laptops having informal meetings, just buying the coffees from you. And this co-working space, we've been trying to develop a concept, say, for about 2 years, when we say we'll hand over some space to that and people pay a basic membership and then they can pay extra over and above that if they want to add coffees, meals, etc., book meeting space. And that's one of the things that we're keen in the next round of refurbishment to do, but of course, cash dependent now. And it's perhaps a good example of what I was saying earlier, that the government want to get the country moving again. If there were supporting businesses, whether it be through business rates relief or whether it be through low-cost finance, facilities that can be installed relatively easily in a resort like ours, there's a huge demand for it for the reasons you've said. And I still mean, I live in Oxford. I obviously work over at Wyboston. And in the future, will I drive to that site 5 days a week? No, because some of the work I can do remotely. But will I be there at least 3 days a week? Yeah, because I need to fit the culture of the business and interact with the team and do the other side of my job. But you move your work around to suit the environment where you're working that day. But we've all seen it this last 12 months, the amount of dogs that have been on Zoom, the amount of children have walked in, the amount of things that have happened in the background to these calls. Not everyone's environment is set up right. And if people live in local and they want to pay a relatively small amount of money to have a drop-in office they can come to, some of the larger financial companies in London are already looking at these, they call it the hub and spoke approach, that they won't need an office in London for 500, they may have it scaled down to 100, and then they'll have sites like ours and in Birmingham and Manchester and Leeds, where you can drop in and take your Zoom and your Teams calls there. You can interact with your colleagues, but you'll also be with physically 10 or 20 of your actual colleagues because you've got some people to talk to. So you're not just soullessly working in your own little pod every day. So I think that'll be a real benefit. A lot of the big international hotel chains are looking at this. They're looking at, sort of, if you think a tower block there, putting a floor in that will be dedicated to co-working space. So you'll have your lobby floor, your restaurants and bars, your co-working floor, your gym, your spa floor, your conference floor, and then your bedrooms above. So we'll have our own take on that, subject to when we can press on.